Okay, Chapter 1, KIN163 students. We're going to cover health and wellness, which is your Chapter 1 from the Fahey textbook. Before we begin the chapter, I would like to emphasize the importance of these two chapters that we're going to cover. The first two, Chapter 1 being the health and wellness, and Chapter 2 being the physical fitness. I would like to emphasize the fact that these two chapters constitute the foundations of what will be covered and taught in this course. So these chapters that will be covered after these two are nothing but the detailed examination of what is covered and focused on with Chapter 1 and 2. Therefore, please make sure to clarify all your questions if there's any with me before moving on. So this is the outline we're going to cover with this chapter. The first one is the dimensions of wellness, and then we're going to discuss what could be the potential threats to wellness, and then how we can introduce a new wellness behavior, and then how we can go about doing that change, and then we're going to look at the review questions. Okay, let's first focus on the difference between health and wellness. So, for all these years, we used to refer to wellness by the definition of health, and that has changed. So, health is the overall condition of body or mind, and the presence or absence of illness or injury. So, it is very relevant to what we are going through right now with the COVID-19. So when you look at the health definition, it is basically being rid of any diseases. But when you also evaluate what wellness is, it's the optimal state of being healthy and vital. So it encompasses all the dimensions of being well or well-being. So in detail, health can be determined or influenced by factors beyond your control, like your genes, your age, your family history, which you cannot change. For example, a man with a strong family history of prostate cancer will have a higher than average risk of developing that cancer himself. Wellness, however, is largely determined by the decisions you make about how you live. That same man, for example, can reduce his risk of cancer by eating sensibly, exercising, and having regular screening tests. Even if he develops the disease, he may still rise above its effect to live a rich and meaningful life. This means not only caring for himself physically, but also maintaining a positive outlook, keeping up his relationships with others, challenging himself intellectually, and nurturing other aspects of his life. Which brings me to all the dimensions of wellness that we're going to cover with the next slide. So there's going to be 9 that we're going to cover, and I'm going to go through each and every one of them individually. The first one is physical, and there comes the emotional, intellectual, interpersonal, cultural, spiritual, environmental, financial, and occupational. Okay, so the physical wellness is your general functioning of your body's physiological systems. And when we say wellness, it's the optimal functioning. And it includes your body's overall physical condition, the absence of any diseases, and also physical fitness level and your ability to care for yourself. So to achieve optimal physical wellness, you need to make choices that help you avoid illnesses and injuries. Like, again, very relevant to our situation by staying home, taking care of your hygiene, and covering your face when you cough. Those are the things that you can change to make a better overall fitness condition for yourself. So the decisions you make now and the habits you develop over your lifetime will largely determine the length and quality of your life. Emotional wellness is basically your ability to understand and accept your feelings, and also your ability to share your feelings with others. So attending to your own thoughts and feelings, monitoring your reactions, and identifying obstacles to emotional stability. And again, it is very relevant to our case right now. We might be going through confusion, denial, and anxiety. So these are some definitions that I want you to be knowledgeable on. The first one is the self-acceptance. That's the physical or personal satisfaction with your own self, which might exclude society's expectations. So it's just to do with how you feel about yourself. The self-esteem relates to the way you think others perceive you. So it includes the society's expectations. Self-confidence can be a part of both acceptance and esteem. So how you feel or how confident you feel about yourself can be a part of self-acceptance or self-esteem. So achieving this type of wellness means finding solutions to emotional problems, and if it takes to seek professional help, that also is a relevant way of improving your emotional wellness. Okay, the intellectual wellness is also called lifelong learning. So it is basically constantly challenging your own mind by, for example, taking on new challenges, new experiences, learning a new language, solving puzzles, taking a new course to learn something new. As you know, that brain is part of our body, and it's the most complicated organ of all the organs that our body has, and you need to stimulate your brain as well as your muscles to improve its function. Okay, the next one is interpersonal wellness. It's also called social wellness. So it's having satisfying and supportive relationships through improving your communication skills, developing the capacity for intimacy, cultivating a supportive network. So social wellness requires participating and contributing to your community and to your society, and just being part of it and not isolating yourself. Cultural wellness is just, as you read, it's just understanding, acknowledging, and appreciating people who are different from you in terms of ethnicity, religion, gender, sexual orientation, age, and any customs that or practices that they employ in their lives. Maintaining your own value and identity when you also appreciate others that are different from you, and avoiding stereotyping and judgment. Okay, now we are on to spiritual wellness, and most people think that it is related to organized religions. Yes, it is partly true, but it's mainly creating meaning and purpose to life by practicing either a religion or enjoying and understanding, trying to understand and blending with nature, art, meditation, or good works. Okay, the next one is environmental wellness, and it's the livability of your surroundings. Your personal health depends on the health of the planet, and we are very well aware of it right now, again, going through the COVID-19 challenge in our lives in the whole wide world, because of all the damage that we created to our planet, and we know that we need to take care of it much better than how we used to. It runs from the safety of the food supply to the degree of violence in society. and doing your part to make your world a cleaner and safer place will improve environmental wellness as well as your personal wellness. Okay, financial wellness is another dimension, and it's the ability to live within means and trying to stay away from debt and manage your income and your money. The expenses that you have, saving for the future, understanding your emotions about money, and also is involved with financial wellness. Occupational wellness is one of the most important of all, since we spend the majority of our time in our jobs from 8 to 5, 9 to 6. The majority of your day will be spent in your job, and the level of happiness and fulfillment you gain through your work determines your wellness level in all aspects. An ideal job draws on your interests and passions as well as your vocational skills, and it allows you to feel that you are making a contribution in your everyday work as well as your society's work, values. Okay, so this is the wellness continuum, and this is just for you to appreciate that they're all interconnected and they affect one another. Each dimension of wellness affects the others, and also the process of achieving wellness is constant and dynamic. As you see in the picture, it involves change, it involves growth, and being open to change. Ignoring any dimension of wellness can have harmful effects on your life. With that said, let's now take a look at the potential threats to our wellness. Now again, as we know, infectious diseases, as you can see from the picture right now, viruses being one, are potential threats to our wellness, and also chronic diseases. The good news is that people have some control over whether they develop chronic diseases or not by their lifestyle choices. We make choices every single day that increase or decrease our risks for such diseases. So you can think of examples of smoking, diet, exercise, alcohol, and drug use. They're all going to determine if we will develop chronic diseases or not. Okay, so let's talk about what kind of behaviors could potentially contribute or improve wellness. The first one is the physical activity. The benefits of physical activity has been well established, and they're both physical and mental, and immediate and in the long run. In the short term, we know that being physically fit makes it easier to do everyday tasks such as lifting. It provides reserve strength for emergencies. Let's say there is an earthquake and God forbid you are under a heavy weight that you want to get out of, and that strength will get you through that emergency. And also it helps people look and feel good, as we all know. In the long term, being physically fit confers protection against chronic diseases, lowers the risk of dying prematurely. This is all established by research. Healthy body weight is an important part of wellness also, but short-term dieting is not part of fitness or wellness. We never encourage that through this class. Maintaining a healthy body weight requires a lifelong commitment, and hopefully that's what we are trying to teach you with this class. Lifelong commitment to regular exercise, to a healthy diet, and effective stress management. Those are the most important three factors that will improve your physical wellness. as well as your emotional. Many people cope with stress by eating, drinking, or smoking too much, and others don't deal with it at all. In the short term, inappropriate stress management can lead to fatigue, sleep disturbances, and other symptoms. But most importantly, over long periods of time, poor stress management can lead to less efficient functioning of the immune system, which is very important in terms of staying away from infectious diseases, and increased susceptibility to disease. So learning to incorporate effective stress management techniques into daily life is an important part of a fit and well lifestyle. So I highly recommend you find a way or an outlet to manage your stress levels. It could either be taking a nap, taking a walk, hike, solving puzzles, or listening to music, playing music, driving. In any way that you can, find a way to manage your stress levels. Like physical inactivity, this also diet is linked to a number of chronic diseases. A diet that is not high in calories, unhealthy fats, and added sugars, as well as that is high in fiber, complex carbohydrates, fruits, and vegetables, is going to improve your overall wellness, and that's part of the behaviors that contribute to wellness. Okay, so maintaining healthy body weight, I'm going to go back to it. We now know that overweight and obesity are associated with a number of disabling and potentially fatal conditions and diseases, including heart disease, cancer, type 2 diabetes, and CDC, Center of Disease Control, estimates obesity kills 112,000 Americans a year. So we need to be maintaining our healthy body weight and also trying to stay away from stress, reducing alcohol and drug use, or avoiding them altogether, and reducing alcohol use, and trying to stay away from diseases and injuries. Okay, so let's say we determined a portion of our life that is not functioning well, and we would like to change it. So what are the motivational factors, or how we can build that motivation for changing that behavior to a better form of that behavior? So we need to be cultivating healthy behaviors, and we will be working to overcome unhealthy ones. This is called a behavior change. As you may already know from experience, changing an unhealthy habit can be harder than it sounds. It's really hard to change a behavior, even if it's a healthy one or an unhealthy one. Change is always hard. Like we now experience again, trying to adapt to this new lifestyle, staying home. Everybody is struggling with it. So let's say you embark on a behavior change plan. It might seem like too much in the beginning, but as you make progress, you will gain confidence in your ability to take charge of your life. And the first thing that you need to do is to weigh the pros and cons of that change in the short term and in the long term. So let's say you're trying to reduce the time that you spend on watching TV. And because that makes you less fit and less able to participate in recreational activities. So that's a short-term benefit that you're going to get from changing that behavior. But in the long term, this lifestyle decreases the risk of heart disease, cancer, stroke, and premature death. That is established by research, and if you can make that small change, it's going to affect your lifelong wellness behavior. So to boost your self-efficacy, there are these steps to follow. Do you have confidence that you can change? That's the definition of self-efficacy. And the research has already shown us that the internal locus of control, as opposed to external locus of control, is more effective in changing or building motivation for behavior change. Locus of control means that how you see the source of responsibility for the event in your own life. Internal locus is that you believe that you are the reason of all your events in your life, and external locus of control is putting it on other factors. Okay, so people who believe they are in control of their own lives are said to have an internal locus of control, and those who have an internal locus of control are said to have more self-efficacy. So we can conclude that internal locus of control will increase your self-efficacy or your confidence that you can change because you believe in the results of that behavior change. There are other steps that you can follow. Visualization is one of them. So what you do is you visualize yourself successfully engaging in a new, healthier behavior. So you're imagining yourself going for an afternoon run 3 days a week or no longer smoking cigarettes. Those are examples. Self-talk is another method that you can employ. That's the internal dialogue you carry on with yourself to increase your confidence in your ability to change. Like, I'm a strong, capable person and I can maintain my commitment to change. Perhaps you know people who have reached the goal you are striving for. They could be role models or mentors, providing information and support for your efforts. So you can gain strength from their experiences and tell yourself, if they can do it, so can I. You can also find a buddy who wants to make the same changes you do and who can take an active role in your behavior change program. For example, an exercise partner can provide companionship and encouragement when you might be tempted to skip your workout. Support system also is, again, role models. A workout buddy is also part of the support system. Support system can also be those people who you live with, and you can also incorporate them in your behavior change and let them know about your process and ask their help in this journey that you are going through. And the last one is overcoming barriers. This is important. This is about knowing your own self and making a list of all the problems and challenges you faced in the future. In the past, so that you don't have them in the future. To this list, you can add the short-term costs of behavior change that you identified in your analysis of the pros and cons of change that you did in the beginning. After you've listed these key barriers to change, develop a practical plan for overcoming each one. For example, if you always smoke when you're with certain friends, decide in advance how you will turn down the next cigarettes you are offered. Okay, let's say we want to make a change in our lives, in at least one of the aspects that we're not doing it right. So these are the stages of change, and this is pretty standard across all the sciences, behavioral sciences. If you look at this picture on the left-hand side, the person is sitting at his desk and he's not ready. That means he's not aware that he's got a problem and he's not thinking about it. He doesn't know that he should be changing this type of behavior. And then there comes the preparation, when you become aware of your problem, and then when you prepare for it, you are contemplating. And we're going to go through all those stages in the next slide, and then you will take an action, and then hopefully you will continue with a regular application of that action or implementation of the action, regular and consistent. There's going to be relapses, and then you will be maintaining that changed behavior for the rest of your life. So let's look at those change stages. The first one is called pre-contemplation, like we talked about in the previous slide. In the pre-contemplation phase, people do not think that they have a problem, and they don't intend to change their behavior. They may be unaware of the risks associated with their current behavior, or they may deny them. So if you look at this table on the right-hand side, those are the typical phrases that those people use in this stage. I won't, I can't. In the contemplation, people know they have a problem and intend to take action, and the time frame for this is within 6 months. They are aware and accept the benefits of behavior change, but worry about the costs of changing. So the typical phrase that they use, we have both good reasons for change, but also I have these excuses, or there are reasons to be against this change. In the preparation, the third phase, people use the frame want to change, but they take action within a month, or may already have begun to make small changes in their lives. They may be engaging in their new, healthier behavior, but not yet regularly or consistently. They will always have a but. But just remember that it's within a month. They may have created a plan for change, but may be worried about failing. And I can give you an example. Like if you decided to become more physically fit, and if you buy a membership at the gym close to your home, but you still haven't started going to the gym regularly, that means you're in the preparation phase. In the action phase, people externally modify their behavior and their environment. So they're taking an action, they're doing it. But this stage requires the greatest commitment of time and energy. And people in this stage are at risk for reverting to old and unhealthy patterns of behavior. So there's a high risk for relapses. In the maintenance phase, which is also called a relapse phase, the new behavior becomes a habit, but there's still a risk of a relapse. But people in maintenance have been successful in quickly reestablishing the desired behavior from the lapses, and the maintenance stage can last for months or years. And in the termination phase, the people at this stage have already exited the cycle of change and are no longer tempted to lapse back into their old behavior. And now they have a new self-image and total self-efficacy with regard to their target behavior. Okay, now we decided, and we're taking an action. The first thing we need to do is to have a personalized plan that is personal to you, personal to your goal. First, what you need to do is to track your activities. Let's say you decided to become or start an exercise program. You need to track your activities to determine how to make time for workouts. That's monitoring your behavior, looking into yourself and seeing what is missing or what is right and what is wrong. After you have collected data on the behavior, analyze it. That's step 2. Analyze the data and see the patterns. When are you most likely to skip your workout, for example? Note the connections between your feelings and such external cues as the time of the day, location, situation, and the actions of others around you. Okay, the third one is important, guys, because if you choose to do the extra credit assignment, that's what I'm going to have you develop, which is a SMART goal. SMART is an acronym that defines the nature of a goal. S in the SMART stands for specific, M stands for measurable, A is attainable, R is realistic, and time is time frame specific. So when we develop a goal, that goal has to have all these aspects in it. Specific is avoiding vague goals like eat more fruits and vegetables. That is not a specific goal. Instead, state your objectives in specific terms, such as eat 2 cups of fruit and 3 cups of vegetables every day. Measurable is recognizing that your progress will be easier to track if your goals are quantifiable. So give your goal a number. You might measure your goal in terms of time, distance, or some other amount, like drink 8 glasses of water every day, or like the fitness trackers, you can just set that on that goal on your fitness tracker to have 10,000 steps a day. The A is attainable. That is setting goals that are within your physical limits or within the feasibility or reality of the scientific facts. For example, if you're a poor swimmer, it might not be possible for you to meet a short-term fitness goal by swimming laps. So walking or biking might be better options. So that's more realistic. Time frame specific. Attainable. Realistic is managing your expectations when you set goals. For example, it may be possible for a long-time smoker to quit cold. It might not be possible to quit cold turkey. A more realistic approach might be to use nicotine replacement patches or gum for several weeks while getting help from a support group, for example. Okay, the time frame specific is giving yourself a reasonable amount of time to reach your goal. State the time frame in your behavior change plan and set your agenda to meet the goal within the given time frame. But of course, this time frame needs to be realistic and attainable as well as specific and measurable. So a SMART goal, an example of a SMART goal in terms of maintaining a healthy weight could be, I'm going to lose 4 pounds in the next 2 months by doing more physical activity or exercise. That would be a good SMART goal. Then you will, of course, break it down into its pieces, which we will talk about in the next chapters. Then the fourth, we will devise a plan of action that is going to be a strategy to support your efforts to change. Your plan of action should include the following steps. Okay, get the items you need right away, depending on your goal. Whatever items you need, just get them right away. Don't procrastinate. Modify your environment to control the triggers that would push you back into the old behavior pattern. And control your related habits. You may have habits that contribute to your target behavior. Modifying these habits can help change the behavior. For example, if you usually plop down on the sofa while watching TV, try putting an exercise bike in front of the set so you can burn calories while watching your favorite program. And then another step is rewarding yourself, not like giving you food or alcohol, but maybe you can reward yourself with a nice movie after you achieve the steps in your SMART goal. And of course, involving the people around you. Ask family and friends to help you with your plan. And of course, plan for challenges. For example, during the finals, you might not have enough time to work out, so you might choose to do short bouts of exercise instead of a long trip to the gym. Okay, so the last step is making a personal contract with your own self. Okay, like your own self is another person and you have to sign that contract with that person. It should include a statement of your goal and your commitment to reaching it. The contract should also include the details of the date you will start, the steps you will take, the strategies you plan to use to promote the change, and the date you expect to reach your final goal. Again, remember to make it SMART. Okay? And please have someone like who will be actively helping you with your new program. Have them sign the contract as a witness with you. So that's all we're going to cover for this chapter. And let's look at one of the review questions that is included in your textbook. The first one is like, which factors would be considered a threat to wellness, like we talked about. We said infectious diseases and chronic diseases. So if you look at them, 1, cancer, cardiovascular disease, smoking, I would add COVID-19, and physical inactivity. Some of them can be changed, like C and D, and the first two you can't really change, but you can also incorporate behaviors that would ease up on those chronic diseases. So the answer would be E, all of the above, because they're all threats to wellness. 2, true or false? Physical activity is a behavior that contributes to wellness. And this question relates to the slide that we covered, all the behaviors that contribute to wellness. And physical activity was the first one, so this is true. Number 3, the dimensions of wellness do not have an effect on one another. Again, this relates to the slide where I showed you the wellness continuum, where we saw that every single dimension has an effect on the other one. So that is false. Okay, that's all for this chapter. We're going to move on to the next chapter, chapter 2, with the physical fitness.